What if the noise inside a World Cup stadium was not exactly what it seemed? Qatar's World Cup campaign has ended on the pitch, but now the biggest story around the team is happening off it. After a disappointing 3-1 defeat to Bosnia and Herzegovina in their final group match, Qatar were already heading home early. But almost immediately, the conversation shifted away from the scoreline and toward the stands. Because according to fresh allegations reported in the UK press, some of the people cheering for Qatar in North America may not have been ordinary traveling fans at all. The claim? That the Qatari Football Association helped bring around 1,000 supporters to the tournament, covering flights, hotels, local transport, and even handing out shirts and scarves, all to create the image of a louder, stronger fan base on the world stage. It is a dramatic accusation. It is controversial, and it has reopened a debate that first surrounded Qatar 4 years ago, when they hosted the World Cup. So what exactly is being alleged? What has Qatar said? And why has this story exploded just as their tournament ended in disappointment? Let's break it down. Qatar came into the 2026 World Cup hoping to show progress after hosting the tournament in 2022. Their campaign actually began with a moment of hope. In their opening match against Switzerland, Qatar scored late to rescue an unlikely point. For a team facing a tough group, that result gave them something to build on. But then came the collapse. On matchday 2, Qatar were hammered 6-0 by Canada, a result that left their tournament hanging by a thread and their confidence clearly shaken. Then, on Wednesday night, their World Cup came to an official end. Bosnia and Herzegovina beat Qatar 3-1 the final group game, confirming an early exit and turning attention toward what had gone wrong. But while the football was disappointing, the bigger controversy came from the crowd. According to reporting cited in the article, The Telegraph claimed that the Qatari Football Association had hired people to pose as fans in an attempt to make Qatar look like a better supported football nation. Express Sport said it had contacted the Qatari FA for comment. The allegations suggest that around 1,000 people were given travel packages worth thousands of pounds. Those packages reportedly included flight tickets, hotel rooms, and local transportation for the tournament in North America. And it did not stop there. The report also claimed that a so-called Qatari fan box was handed out to some of those involved. Inside were items such as shirts and scarves so that the supporters would at least look the part inside the stadium. One person, quoted by The Telegraph, said many of them had never even set foot inside a stadium before, but described the experience as the time of their life. That single detail is what has made the story so explosive. Because World Cup support is supposed to be emotional. It is supposed to come from identity, loyalty, and years of following a national team through highs and lows. But these allegations raise a very different question. Can atmosphere be manufactured? This is where the story becomes even more complicated. A statement from the Qatari FA last month effectively confirmed that around 1,000 fans would have their trips paid for. According to that statement, the program was covering Qatar Airways flight tickets, hotel stays, and local transport. The aim, the statement said, was to create a vibrant stadium atmosphere that would help push the players toward the best possible results on the global stage. That is the key point. Qatar's side of the story frames the program as organized support, a way to generate atmosphere, back the players, and build a visible presence at the tournament. But critics see something very different. They argue that if fans are flown in, housed, transported, and equipped with shirts and scarves, then the line between genuine support and staged support becomes extremely thin, and the timing could hardly be worse for Qatar. On the pitch, the team had already suffered a painful exit. 1 point against Switzerland was followed by the heavy defeat to Canada, then the 3-1 loss to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Off the pitch, the headlines were no longer about tactics, goals, or missed chances. They were about whether the image of Qatari support had been carefully constructed. These claims also brought back memories of similar questions from 4 years earlier, when Qatar hosted the World Cup and became the first Middle Eastern nation to do so. Back then, the presence and organization of fan groups was already discussed. Now, in 2026, the same issue has returned, but this time, Qatar are not the hosts. They are a team eliminated early, facing scrutiny from outside the stadium just as much as inside it. And yet, amid all the controversy, Qatar manager Julen Lopetegui chose to focus on the people who were there backing his players. After the defeat to Bosnia, he said he was grateful for the fans. He admitted they were a minority, but said they tried to support the team and stay behind them. He also apologized to them, while insisting the players fought until the end and gave everything on the pitch. That message was emotional, but it may not be enough to quiet the storm. Because the question now is not simply whether Qatar had support. The question is whether that support was organic or organized. So Qatar leave the World Cup with two stories attached to their name. The first is the football story. A promising opening draw, a crushing defeat to Canada, and a final loss to Bosnia that confirmed an early exit. The second is the controversy. Allegations that fans were flown in, accommodated, transported, and equipped to create a stronger stadium presence for Qatar. At this stage, the claims remain allegations reported by the media, and Express Sports says it contacted the Qatari FA for comment. But the debate is already moving fast. For some, this was simply a fan support program, a way to make sure Qatar had backing in a tournament thousands of miles from home. For others, it raises uncomfortable questions about image, authenticity, and how far a football association should go to create atmosphere on the world's biggest stage. And that is why this story matters. Because at a World Cup, the cameras do not only capture the players, they capture the flags, the chants, the emotion, and the people in the stands. If those scenes are real, they become part of football history. If they are staged, they become part of a very different conversation. Qatar's tournament is over, but this controversy is not. And as the World Cup moves on, one question will keep following this story. Were Qatar's fans simply supported by their federation, or were they part of a carefully built image for the world to see?